Now, AVID Investors, for our feature presentation, I not only bring to you Jason Tupper, who is a builder, but he's also an amazing general contractor who was vetted by Leslie Halverson because he helped on her projects. So I welcome Jason Tupper. He's a California native who's been in construction for like 17 years, worked his way up the ranks, started as a superintendent, then the superintendent quit. He became the superintendent, and then someone in the office quit and he became the estimator. And once he'd done pretty much all of the jobs, he decided to have his own company. And he works with a ton of developers and had some projects slotted for this spring that are not actually going to be shovel money ready after all. So if somebody had a project, he's actually got a little potential room to bid it and maybe even squeeze it into his spring. And I'll tell you what, good general contractor vetted by Leslie, who's got availability. What more does an investor need right now? Jason Tupper,
Exactly.
welcome.
So I've been asked to talk about, I do a little bit of everything, remodels, additions. I've been for about 7 years now, mostly been building new construction, buying lots, either subdividing into, multiple single family lots and building single family homes. Lately I've been doing townhouses. It's been kind of the trend. And mostly just new construction, subdividing, some development, light development, nothing too huge, and then new construction. So Stacy asked me to come in and kind of explain the process. In case you guys aren't familiar with it, I know some of you guys are, as far as, if you're a flipper or, a builder. I try to simplify the process. So I've developed this this kind of slideshow. I try to mechanicalize everything, starting with the goals. The main thing is, developing equity. So every project, if you're going to look at it, you want to make money, obviously. So you gotta, it's all about numbers. So first thing to do is, what kind of equity, what kind of profit can I make? So I'm usually selling that to my investor. Here's what I found. Here's the numbers as far as buying the lot, what we can build on it, how the numbers turn out to, as far as selling it. I don't do a whole lot of buying and holding. Mostly we're building and selling on the flip side. There's various approaches, from ease to difficulty depending on the lot, depending on the project, to twoplex, fourplex, single family. Ultimately I just try to keep the process simple. I've kind of outlined some of the goals. I've tried to be a master at developing the land. Every land is kind of unique on, what you can do with it. Is it a single family? Is it is it a commercial property that you can build and try to sell it as a, tenant wants to come in and build it out, for Starbucks or whatnot, or investment property, fourplex or twoplex. And then compare and contrast different development options. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of paperwork I do. I'm calling, different, talking to, if it's listed, talking to the realtor, see what they found, what kind of information they have on the property, calling the city, what the trends are in the area, analyzing the various trends. If a lot of times, we'll go on MLS and look for properties, or we'll drive by, different cities, different areas. And if you see a lot, there's trends in those areas. If there's a lot of lots getting bought, people are putting, townhouses, single family, fourplexes. And a lot of lots I find are just kind of infill lots, lots that are left over from a developer that built maybe 10 years ago and never sold, or somebody bought it and they're sitting on it. There's a lot of reasons. If you drive everywhere, there's a lot of lots that are just kind of sitting there. So I try to analyze that and be, kind of an expert on the trends, because that area, maybe there was single family houses have been built, then there's duplexes or multifamily, and maybe somebody ran out of money, or some of those lots that are available, they just for some reason thought, the trends changed and they just kind of walked away, and either just sitting on them or they're, trying to sell them for a certain price. The stress factor, so also, when you find a lot, is it easy to go in a subdivision, and look for an existing lot, that is, kind of part of a subdivision. Meaning that lot has utilities on it, has power, has water, sewer, it's all ready to go. So as a builder, when I go in there to break ground, everything's there at the sidewalk usually, or at the street, so it's real easy. Versus a raw land development, there's nothing there. So, there's a street there, there's, utilities, there's Idaho Power's got power poles, but there's no transformer, there's no, that land is pretty raw. So you have to bring in the power, bring in the sewer, the water or irrigation sometimes. So that's part of the assessment too. As far as like the ease, the ease or difficulty of developing lots. Or even just simply just rehabbing a property, flipping it, buying it, and kind of, lipsticking it, or sometimes we'll do an addition, or we'll gut it, fully built it out. So ultimately, I just try to become an expert. And so I've been doing this for about 7 years now. And the name of the game mostly is just becoming an expert at what the potential is of that property, how to find the properties, and then what the value is of, depending on what you think you can put on there. And everybody has different opinions. My investors have different opinions. I'll have an opinion. Realtors I talk to will have an opinion, and ultimately you just have to kind of develop your own and try to kind of pitch it to the potential money guy. So that's kind of the goals and the process. Analyzing the trends. So as you've seen, as interest rates have changed, you've got, the new builds versus rehabs, the existing houses that are on the market. As far as an investor, buying it, if it's doesn't need a whole lot of work, you just, put a tenant in there, as an investor, or if it's a flip property that you want to put a tenant in. And right now there's a lot of new builds going on because a lot of the builders are offering incentives to build and get buyers or investors. So just trying to, stay on top of those expectations of what the market's kind of bringing. And then, after that, once you do all this, analyzing and, searching for properties, then I take action. So once you identify the property, I'll start calling a lot, calling the city, the county, planning and zoning. What can we do with the property? What's the R rating? Is it zoned for single family? For example, I'll find an acre lot, and I'll find an acre lot in Boise, and it might be R1 rated, so single family residence. Is all we can do. Sometimes it's rated more, R4 or beyond, or R2, so you can subdivide it for townhouses or duplexes. So that's part of the just kind of keep going down that road of what potential the property has. So then, CC&Rs, HOAs, there's usually CC&Rs no matter what. Is there an HOA, on that property, in that neighborhood? What are the codes? Find out setbacks. Are there easements? Is there utility easement at the back of the property, in the middle of the property, in the front of the property? So you find that out. Then, sometimes there's restrictions of building with, how high you can go. The setbacks will have, certain distances from the edge of the property. Sometimes you can build a 3-story or 2-story, but sometimes you can't. So we'll find that out. And then there's some examples of, properties I found, just, from driving around. This property here on this side, somebody started the process, but then they either ran out of money or decided it wasn't a good deal. And this is in Marsing. And I just can't, it was listed, and it had a couple of offers, couple of times it went pending, and it just fell apart. And so, so then I do all this research, what happened, why did it fall apart, why did the deal go bad? And I just determined it was a good property to eventually buy it. And the good part about that is you get a good deal on it. So when you're making offers, this is just another lot we found and found home. But And this is part of, breaking ground. Once you find something, then we start, taking action and developing it. Couple pictures.
Are those the same properties that you just showed?
Oh, those are separate.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is the one in Mountain Home on this side right here. Oh, no, this side right here. This is the one in Marcy. We decided to do a single family and just, sell them. We recently started doing duplexes because of the market, trying to build smaller, we can do, and then maximizing the property potential. So, and then now a lot of the cities will let you subdivide lots, so we can split down the middle, put, townhouse on both sides, and then we can maximize the build. A lot of it's your time too. We can build 2 properties, all at the same time instead of one. And get 2 separate listings. The costs aren't always cheaper because you still have the square footage you're building, but the time is less. So I can maximize my kind of time and potential for managing the build or
Have you
the.
reached an ADUs yet?
I've done a couple in Boise, and they're popular. I haven't done any in Napa or anywhere else. Those are custom builds, or invites, not investments. But yeah, those have been pretty good. And then, okay, so then steps of action. So you've got, we identify the property, the concept, the idea, the initial research, to determine what fits on the property. So part of what I've done is I try to be open-minded on what I'm finding for the investor. Most of my investors, they're open to anything, you find if it can make money, let's do it. So that's where a lot of the research comes in mind. I try to find a lot and what can we do on that lot. And maybe I'm building just single family houses. Maybe I'm building duplexes. It's all different. So at the end of the day, if it pencils out, most of the investors are fine. We'll do the deal. So we do what fits on the property. And then after that, you hire a surveyor, we find the pins. We do a lot split if we're gonna do a lot split for townhouses or not a fourplex, but townhomes. And then
Sorry, do you mind if I?
oh no, go ahead,
Okay.
go ahead. Sorry.
You guys are welcome.
This is my first time presenting, so sorry if I'm going a little fast. Interject anytime you want. Usually I'm in a room with, what's that?
You have so much information.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah,
I just
yeah.
have questions, yeah.
Go for it.
Split lot. So what is the timeline oftentimes when if you have to go through the subdividing process with the city, how long are you planning for on it?
So it could be, mostly it's scheduling, the surveyor, which is the sub, what their availability is. Then that's usually a month and a half. If once you close on the property, and we'll know all this before you buy it, obviously, we'll do all, we purchase it, close on it. And then usually what I'm doing, after we identify the property and what the plan is, I'll be putting all this together while we're waiting for it to close. Not, even though it's an investor, we usually have cash, it doesn't mean it's gonna be a fast close. Sometimes we'll have, some, hard money, so it's a 2-week or 30-day close. So during that time, I'll be scheduling people, the surveyor, the various trades that we need, I'll be, as far as lot split, just a surveyor, really. You got, then you got title, but that's, pretty easy. But yeah, it's like a month and a half. What takes the longest is not just getting a surveyor out there, you have to file paperwork with the city, or the county, and so Napa's different than, Ada County or Boise as far as the paperwork. And the paperwork is you gotta have, so the surveyor has to do sometimes a study, like a floodplain study, and submit that, and that has to be approved, with the city. And then there's a process that has to go back and forth a little bit. And so that's where the time is. The surveyor, once he gets out there, it's a couple of days to find the pins, do the lot split, report it with the county. So, but usually it's about a month.
And
Give or
then
take.
does the city have to take a long time to think about approving it, or you've already? found out
I've always
that
found that
it's-
out before we buy the property.
Okay,
And
so
so,
they don't typically pull a fast one on you?
they have in the past, yes. I found, I mostly have as far as lot splits, I've done a lot with Napa and in Ada County. Boise, I've done one, but they will never put anything in writing. I have to go down, usually I go down there and kind of talk to, so-and-so, depending on, what department you gotta talk to. Napa has different departments. They're kind of, they run differently than like Ada County or Boise. And so generally you can kind of get a verbal is all I can usually get. And then you just kind of hope for the best sometimes, unfortunately, and go, okay.
And how does that make your money folks feel? Because in some of these cases, you're the builder, you're doing all this development work.
Yep.
But the money is somebody else.
Yeah,
Who's hired
so,
you to be their main
yep.
squeeze.
That's the nervous part from my part, or I guess maybe not liability, but you want to have all your ducks in a row, and I want to be able to present, here's what I found out. So generally what I do is I try to find what's trending in that neighborhood. So if other builders have done lot splits, then chances of our lot split getting approved and going through is good. I like the Marcian property, they had already done lot splits in that area, and Marcian, you can walk in and everybody's there. You can talk to everybody and shake their hand, and it's a small, kind of a tight knit, little town as far as the building process or the building department. But mostly I just try to get as much ammunition as I can to present to the client, to the investor. And ultimately, we've had a couple of deals that we've had to like kind of change in mid-stride because of the city. Sometimes what happened to me in Napa is, or actually what's going on right now in Boise County, I'm building a house in Garden Valley, and they've had personnel change. So, the guy that was there 2 years ago that did a lot of setback approvals, it's not there anymore. So the new guy coming in is like, oh yeah, no, these setbacks are gonna be this now. And so you just kind of have to roll with that a little bit.
Boise County is notoriously loose. And so
Yes.
is that no longer the case?
No, I built a
That's
house.
good to know.
Yes, I did a custom house last year. We closed, I finished it in November. And this is a different type of property, but setbacks were different. And I have a new client that I'm building for right now, and she went and did a variance and she got the plans done before she found me. And that was 2 years ago, or 2022. And that guy approved a bunch of stuff. And then the new guy that I got my approvals for the last build is a different guy. So I was telling her, oh yeah, this looks good. I mean, the last house I built was fine, but I didn't realize she had gotten approvals from 2 years ago. So the new guy is like, I went in for permits, and she already had an architect. They went through engineering. They got the variance, 2 years ago, 2022. And it was all approved. So I went in there and I was like, hey, I'm gonna, apply for permits. And he's like, yeah, no, this is not gonna work. I mean, here's our, our new setbacks and that, and that all changed. So for that, I mean, that's, one of those things where I just have to, be the bearer of bad news for the client.
So I have a question on your timeline, your item number 5, once you get through that, do you guarantee your timeline? And what happens if you don't meet it?
So in construction, I try not to guarantee anything, but actually, I try to be hopeful. So, during COVID, I mean, I was building houses in about 9 months. I was trying to do 2 or 3 at a time to maximize my time. Now that Garden Valley house, I said, as soon as we break ground, I can probably have it done in 5 months.
Are your money people okay with you not guaranteeing they build on new build?
Yeah, now about 6 months. I'm about 5 or 6 months on new builds. And if we do townhouses, I mean, we're building 2 townhouses in 5 or 6 months. So that's where I started pitching that, because I can have 2 units available in the same amount of time as I can build 1 house. I mean, I can do, 2 or 3 single family in different neighborhoods, at the same time, but the townhouse is just super convenient.
If you get behind, and sorry, that's speaking
Oh,
from
that's
experience.
okay.
If
Yep.
you get behind, you have your subs, do they work weekends? Do they work
Yeah,
holidays? Do they
so-
pick up?
I try to manage for a worst case scenario on everything. I even permits, even from the city up to all the subs, to everything. So Napa, even during COVID, I was getting permits done in about 3 weeks. I just got permits yesterday on these 2 townhouses that we're doing. We're breaking ground tomorrow. It took me like almost 6 weeks and for permits, and it's the same builds I've done before. But I call them, they're just like, oh yeah, we're backed up, like the last one they told me, oh, it's gonna be May. So don't even call in April, or March, or what was it? March, April, May, yeah, April. And so I just tell the investor, like, sorry, we're just, they're backed up. But generally what I do, I try to do a 2-month kind of leeway. So I said, look, I can get this done, built for you in 5 months, give me 7 just in case. And then as far as the subs, I have multiple subs. Your best subs will never, I mean, knock on wood, I've had some good subs that I've had for 5 or 6 years, but even the best subs I've had for 5 or 6 years, at some point you have a falling out, or they get busy, or somebody retires, somebody sells the company, somebody hires a bunch of, bad carpenters or employees, and those guys are no longer your good subs anymore. So I try to have multiple kind of backup plans every time.
You run your subs and you go through something like OpenStruct or something so that everybody can see what's going on when they're showing up.
Yep. I do all that. I try to be transparent. I do a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of Excel forms, mostly just showing, here's my potential, property. I identify the property. Here's the purchase price. Here's what I think we can get it for. Here's what I think we can put on that property. Here's the numbers on that, on the build cost. And then I try to show the analysis of if this property was built today, here's what the comps are, what's pending and what's sold, what's active. And I try, and like right now, going into the summertime, hopefully things will be a little more, we can get a little more money, in 2 months than we can now. But I try to do all those analysis, as much as I can, as much transparency as I can. And mostly because, like you're saying with like delays, I'll have subs where I'll have a sub that gives me a price today. We break ground and maybe it's a drywall we won't need for 2 months. And then in 2 months, he's too busy, he's not available, or he's not around anymore, or maybe he is around, but he starts and maybe doesn't finish. So, and then if you have to hire another guy, the other guy could be more expensive. He could be the same money or he could be cheaper, but you have to kind of roll with it on the budget. And so that changes too. So not only do I give a time frame of completion, give me a little variance, we'll try to have usually a $10,000 or $20,000 contingency as far as, things go south a little bit, on, subcontractors, permit costs went up in Napa. The same build right now, those 2 townhouses, we're paying about 13 grand more than the last build we did last year. And just, it's everything. It's impact fees went up a little bit. There's their general, the plant service, their the residential building permit. So there's about 15 items on some of those permits. And it's just, this went up by $100, or $1,000 or $500. But they don't, I didn't know that. We did, I went this new set. I mean, I was putting budget together probably 4 months ago. Because we had the lot already from the last build. I mean, we bought, another lot as the other build was finishing. And I went to pull permits, and then you try to do estimates. Like you can go on their websites and get an estimate of, square footage and, what this is going to cost, but it's never exact. And it's usually off by, it could be within 1,000 or 2, higher, usually it's higher. But I didn't, we didn't do all those estimates because we just got done building those. And I got the invoice yesterday for these new permits, and between the two, so it's about 6 grand more per unit. And it's probably just their fees going up. Maybe there's less permits being pulled, so maybe they're trying to recoup a little bit of that.
Or everything's going up.
Yeah.
And I love it that you're asking these questions, Alan, because Alan's done a lot of development type stuff as well. And in some ways, what I'm hearing, but this is actually a question. I'm hearing that Jason's doing a lot of the work that typically a developer does. However, he's also working with the developer. And so for someone like you, he's doing a lot of the work you would do, and he's the builder, and he's doing the subs. And so in theory, someone like you could come along and know, okay, well, if Jason's saying 5 months, but he wants 7, I'm, as a developer, if I'm going to make this project work, I'm going to budget it on 7. If he's saying he thinks he can do it for this much, I'm going to hear his cushion and do that. And you're going to have a second set of opinions on a lot of the work you as a developer did.
I agree. I believe you are providing a huge value add compared to what many folks do. Yes, it's a compliment.
Yeah.
Question.
Thanks. I've tried, so before I started building houses, I was a commercial contractor, and I found in that industry, if I if I did multiple trades, I would bid on projects, either as a general or subcontractor. Now, as a general, you're getting the whole project, but as a sub, I would bid on different aspects of that project. Could be 3 or 4 trades. And so I try to be diversified and thinking, you'll never run out of work, or maybe if you bid on that project, you might get one of the bids and, not 4, or maybe get all 4. So when I got out of that and started, getting into real estate and, the build side and, the development side, I thought kind of the same plan. If I'm a one-stop shop, I think it's easier for me to find investors that way too. I'm kind of the all-inclusive, as far as pitching them ideas and, here's what I think I can do for you.
And from my perspective, it allows me to go focus on where's the money. And not
Yeah.
have to worry so much on all the little nuts and bolts that you do. It's exactly.
It's
Right.
tough, yeah. Now, on the flip side, I don't do as many projects at one time. This past couple of years, I found kind of my tipping point of how many projects I can do at once. Because of all this, there's a lot of, behind the scenes stuff but it's worked well. It's nice because I kind of control a lot of it too, a lot of the numbers as far as where I'm getting them from. I'm not relying on somebody else to like, hey, have you got those numbers yet? Have you driven out to this area? So I have more control in the overall project from start to completion, from concept to completion. And so,
Jason, what does it cost to do, like, have you do a one-stop sort of build? We're talking
it varies.
20%?
I do. So another thing I do uniquely, I don't do cost plus. I don't do this percentage. I just charge a management fee. So and so I try to be, now it kind of works with so the reason why I do that is because I've almost never done a project of a decent size, a $400,000 or $500,000 or $600,000 project, no matter what it is, and we hit the budget. It always goes over. There's some things that will be less, because we're constantly shopping things out, shopping subs out, trying to get better prices, finishes, we're kind of adjusting that. So what I started doing, so if you do a cost plus or charge a percentage, and if that price goes up, then I'm making more money, I'm getting more, then I get my percentage no matter what. But that's not always a good deal for the investor or even the custom build, client. So what I started doing, I just charge a management fee. Every project's different. Depending on what, if I think the project's gonna take 4 months or 9 months, I'll charge accordingly. But, and that way, if so on a custom build, the client can pick the most expensive doors they want, or flooring, or the cheapest doors. They can do, hardy siding, they can do true wood siding. That doesn't matter to me, because for me, I'm gonna manage that project the same, no matter what the cost is. If the sub's $10,000 or $15,000, I still gotta manage them. So I just developed the management fee. I just charge, I'll split that out. If it's 40 grand for that project, I'll just bill them, over 9 months, whatever the month is, a little bit every month. So I'll step it, on the draw schedule. And then, and on custom bills, the clients never kept that budget the same also. Sometimes it's gone down, they'll change things to make it cheaper or more expensive. Usually it's gone up. We find money somehow, or we'll save money on this part of the project over here. Maybe the lumber pack came in, $5 grand cheaper, so we'll spend $10,000 more on doors because we saved 5 here, which usually happens. It's kind of weird, but
What I hear you saying, and correct me, is a project never comes in exactly on budget. That's not on you. That's on choices.
yes, I mean, I like to say that,
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes it's on your subs.
and sometimes it's what happens where I'll take the heat is if a sub management situation where my drywaller, I mean, I had a really good insulator for a lot of years, but I saw, and I have a couple insulators, this is an example. And the insulator is great. Price is good, he manages projects good. And then, but I don't know, all of a sudden we just had a falling out. A project that we started prior to this other project where I had a falling out on, he started raising prices, I started getting change orders, or like, yeah, we can't make it, we'll do this. And I just saw a lot of like kind of nickel and diming. So I had him budgeted for this next project already. So I was like, okay, that guy's out. before I started the other project, but I had the budget already for that client. So I had to scramble and find a new insulator, and that guy was a little bit more money. So next thing I gotta call the drywaller and they just try to make it up, but that insulator was like $1,000 more on the budget, so. You know, and a lot of these projects, as far why I do a lot of research and I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, is because a lot of these projects takes months to like come to fruition. Months of planning, months of trying to schedule. And then in this industry, a lot of the subs, you know, they're kind of, you know, here and there. They kind of go with what's trending too. I can, like, for example, if my concrete guy has no work today, I say, hey, I'm gonna do, you know, give me a price, we're gonna break ground next month, you know, on, you know, June 1st, we're gonna start. Oh yeah, no problem. He may get a bunch of jobs, you know, that he gets awarded, you know, May 30th. And then I call him June 1st and he's like, oh yeah, I'm too busy. Or yeah, I can make it, but you know, I'm gonna hire a couple extra guys, my price is gonna go up. You get these excuses. So even if you give them contracts, they're still kind of, you know, hit and miss. So that's where, you know, my job again, you just constantly trying to manage that situation, those guys, and just try to stay on top of it.
If
What?
you have a rule of thumb, like if a lot is X, then you couldn't, let's say the eventual price of the home is 200,000. You wouldn't be able to spend any more than a certain amount for the lot. What would be the guideline?
I haven't developed a guideline for that, mostly because the land is, I think land's been a hard stance as far as prices than like the housing. Land has not gone down and it's gone up, and a lot can sit for a year and the price still won't change. You know, I'll look for, so, and then the different lot sizes, and then there's different capabilities. So, you know, I'll find like the townhouses, you know, we're paying, I paid 130 for, it's a 50 by 140 deep lot. We split it in half and put townhouses. Paid 130 2 years ago. In the same neighborhood, some of these lots we're buying the lot and we're tearing down the house. The next lot I paid 150. Same thing, 50 by 140. They're the townhouses, there's 2 units, it's 3 bed, 2 bath, 2-car garage, and they're 1,592 square feet. You know, those are costing about 480 to build, yeah, 470 to maybe 490, give or take, you know, total all in, plus a lot cost. Then the neighbor calls me down the street and goes, hey, I see you've been building in this neighborhood. You want to buy my house? You know, it's in shambles. We're gonna, you know, they came in some money, they're gonna buy another house. So I was like, yeah, you know, how much you want? And I just was honest with them. I was like, I paid 130 for that one, you know, 10 houses down. This one's like 3 doors down. I paid 150 for that one because I want 200,000. I'm like, yeah, I can't afford that, you know, for what we're gonna do. And she ended up getting 180 for it. And then a flipper came in, they flipped it, they remodeled it. They got listed for 300,000. This is on 16th or 15th Avenue. But
What town?
it's in Nampa on 16th is the main road, but these ones are on 15th Avenue. As well, we're 15th Avenue North is the neighborhood that we've been kind of building in. 1592 square feet, 3 bed, 2 bath. Plus an office, we got a little office in the front and then 2-car garage. And that's kind of generally my goal is always 3 bed, 2 bath, maybe an office, maybe not, maybe a half bath, you know, 2.5 bath, and then always a 2-car garage if I
Is it a
can.
single level?
2,
Two-story?
yep, 2-story.
Could you
Yeah.
squeeze a closet into the office if you needed to?
You could.
Rental
Yep.
to get that 4th bedroom rent?
Yep, we sure can.
Is the 480, is that the full units or?
Total, yeah, we're at 480. I'm still waiting for a couple prices on this one that we're breaking ground, but I don't think we'll hit 500. I think it's gonna hang around 480 to build. So then you got the lot cost, and those units were
But for one townhouse,
for 2 total.
2 townhouses?
Yeah, we're building both of those
Okay.
for that price.
Thanks, that's what you
Yep.
asked, but
Yeah. So I guess let's say, you know, 220, 230 each side is what the cost is. Each of those units plus the lots, 150. And so, yeah, so another example, so I found an acre lot off of 5 Mile and Victory that I called on. He wants 300,000 for that lot. And It was a guy that bought it, he's gonna build his primary residence himself. I called the realtor, you know, they had to come and see him sign on it. I was just driving by, you know, I called on it. And I found out that you can do, it's R1 currently, but that's Ada County. No, it was Boise, city of Boise, where that area was. Oh no, I'm sorry, Ada County. So I called Ada County and they're like, oh, you can do a 4 or 6-plex. So you can do rental, but you can't subdivide. You can, but what you do once, you know, one subdivision on it in half, you know, of some sort. So I can do townhouses, but for 300,000 to do townhouses, I don't think it penciled out that way. So, you know, so lot cost, you know, so if I'm at 150 each side, I still got to build, you know, do the build cost. So I suggested to my investor, let's just not subdivide it. We'll put a 6-plex on there. So it's going to be, you know, a rental. And my investor is, we build and sell. So, you know, I'm looking at, you know, what can we sell a 4-plex or a 6-plex for? I think that was to maximize that lot cost. I felt like that was the best plan for that property. Versus subdividing it and doing just townhouse. I was trying to get them to let me, you know, split to 4 lots. So I can do 2 sets of townhouses, or maybe like some row houses, you know, 4 single-family residences. That would have maximized, I think, that project as well. But so every property is kind of unique. I haven't really bought, you know, 10, 20 acres and figured out the, you know, the lot cost versus build cost or how that pencils out. My experience has just been these little infill lots, leftover lots. You know, a house that gets listed, but the house is a tear down. So we'll try to negotiate a good deal on that to build new. I've flipped, you know, we've flipped properties here and there, but you know, of course, you know, right now it's kind of tough to flip. And we've developed a good plan for building. You know, for 7 years now, I've gotten good relationships with, you know, build costs, with lumber packs, you know, with our suppliers, you know, the subs, and so we're just trying to be going down that road.
Do those prices include your management fee?
Yes, yep, yep. I'm cheap. I don't mind telling you guys. I'm usually about 20 to 40 grand per build on management. I try to do 2 or 3 at a time if I can to maximize, you know, that cost. You know, custom build. So the spec homes, it's easy for me to develop a cost, just to generalize it, because most of my investors, they give me full reign on how I build. So I do all the same finishes. I would kind of know, you know, my level of how I build and what I'm going to use, and so the numbers are really easy for me, and the management's easy. Custom builds, you know, I'll look at the plan and see what they want, and you know, how hard that is going to be to manage, and I'll develop a price on that. But usually I've never charged more than 40 grand so far for a custom build. Yeah, and I'm not a super extravagant custom builder. You know, most of my custom builds are, you know, that I've done so far, 1,800 to about 2,500 square feet. You know, 2-story, single story, 3-car garage. So nothing's been, you know, too crazy so far. But I know those numbers, you know, not that type of house, that square footage. So even for the custom builds, I can still develop a good plan and a good price, you know, for them, and kind of show them, here's, you know, what I recommend and type of thing.
Well, that difference is probably mostly in the finishes.
Yeah, because the finishes can be from not just the interior finishes, it could be the siding, the roofing, you know, metal roof versus, you know, asphalt shingles, you know, hardy versus true wood, or, you know, or
Oh, Jason, Steve is on the line here. Will you speak to whether you like metal roofs, is particularly for a rental property where there's not attic space above it? Would you go metal if you're going, new roof?
no attic space, so there's no, do we have airflow issues?
There's just a little bit.
Okay, metal's fine, I think, as long as you get the venting. Because if you have no attic space, or if you have like trusses, they're basically your roof line, you just do a ridge cap, a ridge vent up there. So metal and asphalt shingles doesn't matter.
Okay.
So it's all the same. I mean, it's all in the venting. Now, the price could be different. Metal roofing right now is way more than asphalt shingles, like probably 2/3 more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's louder.
Yeah.
Tenants on the top floor is what we were concerned about. is
Yeah.
tenants.
Yeah, so on the loudness, it all depends on installation, because I've had clients ask me the same thing. I want to do metal roof. I've had that complaint on, like, if we're gonna do a patio cover,
Mhm.
no metal roof because, we don't want to hear the rain. The patio covers I've done, or the houses I've done with metal roofs, if you have good insulation, you have a good attic space up there where you can insulate it, get a good airflow, or even on the patio cover, if it's a truss type scenario, not just like a shed roof where there's no attic or no space in between the ceiling and the roof, we just insulate that too, and I haven't had any complaints on the metal roof, and it looks good. Patio covers, they want a metal roof because of the look, you get that nice fancy look, in contrast to your asphalt shingles, if you have, existing asphalt shingle roof, or architectural shingle roof. So, cold weather, that's where, the biggest challenge with the roofing is like the mountains. If you do, a lot of people like metal roof, because of the snow, but then you can't gutter those roofs because the way the snow comes off versus asphalt shingle. So, but here in the valley, I don't think it doesn't really matter as far as, it's mostly the look and how much you want to spend. So as far as problems or anything.
Thank you.
Oh, yep. Okay, any more questions? I think we're kind of at the end.
Yeah, you got more slides.
Yeah, yeah. So as far as, continuing that road of, the steps of action. As, once you identify the property, once we figure, okay, we're gonna do this deal, or maybe, we bought the property. Once you figure out what's gonna fit on the property, then hire an architect, an engineer. Now I would have an architect, have a couple in place. So part of, what's nice, if you have a good relationship with your architect, they can give you concept plans. And I'll show you. So this is a concept plan. These are the townhouses I'm building in Napa. Or one version. We've changed it slightly on the next ones, but my architect she kind of does that for free, because I've given her a lot of business, and so we can figure out, you can kind of play around with floor plans, what fits on the lot. Usually I'll get a plot plan from either the county, or title, so we can kind of see the setbacks and or see what the dimensions are of the property. A lot of these properties, just so you guys know, if you get not knock on any realtors, but they'll list. If there's no plat plan on a listing for bare land, like, you need to get one for sure. Contact us, a title company, they'll do that for free. If you can find one, because they'll mention dimensions sometimes, like the realtor. Or, well, oh yeah, this is rated for, R1 or R5, or yeah, you can do whatever you want on this property. I have found through experience that they don't always, I'm not saying they're lying, but they might, not know. And so I've bought lots, a lot before, where it's like, oh, we can't do that. We go to, the city, or you go to the county, and you can't do what you think you can, or we find out it's in a floodplain. And then there's no mention of floodplain, and then they'll do they'll fill out the homeowners, sheet.
Form.
Yep, and
Would
there's.
that be the seller property disclosures.
Yeah, and they say, oh yeah, we don't know, or, so it's like, a lot of the research is part of that, is finding out as far as the capabilities, also find out if it's a floodplain, get a plot plan. And a lot of stuff you can do for free, you don't have to just time. And then, the concepts, my architect would normally charge, but this is nice to this helps me pitch it to the investor. Here's what I think we can build. Here's a look of it, here they can see the size, the visual aids of, here's the dimensions of the house, here's the lots, here's how it's gonna sit on the lot. So that's helped in the past, convincing, somebody of like, yeah, let's pull the trigger, and yeah, looks good. So then you draw a final plan. Part of, while it's closing, while the lot's closing, I'll develop a timeline and a draw schedule. So a timeline for the subs, like, here's what we're gonna do the day one, the day it closes. Here's what we're gonna do this week. Here's the month schedule. Here's a week by week schedule. And here's a draw schedule. So I give all my investors a draw schedule for my company draw, and then for all the subs. I separate all that. I don't do a cost. I don't hide the sub pricing. Here's what the drywall is going to cost. here's the, the concrete guy, here's everything. Mostly because if we can find sometimes better prices, or, if a guy doesn't work out, here's what we had budgeted for that guy, for that sub, so we can kind of, use that as a model to find a new guy. And then apply for permits and hire subcontractors. So, I used to, get a sub price, get the contract set, get ready to go. Yeah, we're gonna make an offer, we're gonna buy it. And then, 3 or 4 months down the road, half these guys, it's like, oh yeah, we're busy, or so. So hire subcontractors, could be the same guys you've been talking to, could be new guys. But part of the process is kind of, as you do it, you kind of know who's who, what's what, and what things are costing, what to budget for, for square foot, everything's kind of piecework in this industry as far as building. So drywall costs, framing, it's all just square foot prices a lot of times. For example, the framers, they charge, $5 a square foot to frame, or drawers do the same thing. So they can kind of pencil out a lot of stuff without having to call subs and get prices. Okay, so the hot tips. There's a couple of pages of hot tips. What I have learned is, so when I was early on with, finding investors, or, doing various joint ventures with people, partnerships, project partnerships, everybody, they all have this, so the real estate market changes, it goes up, ebbs and flows. You found out with COVID, you have no control over certain things. The material prices go up, the lead times, get out of control. So a lot of my kind of partnerships and deals I would do, it's like, everybody kind of wants to get rich on every project. They all want to go quick and fast and make good money. And okay, let's do the next one. Not every project everybody gets rich on. There's been some projects where we make good money, pencils out good. We somehow, the build cost came down, the market went up. We got multiple offers on a project, and it's great. Then there's the projects where it's like, oh, I barely made money, or, we've never broken even, but, we did okay, but, that was 5 months of work. And then those investors, like, they'll be out, or the partner, the realtor friend that I was doing this project with, they're out. And it's like, oh, after one deal. So I've learned now, I tell everybody, just kind of give them some advice, be in it for the long run. Try to, if you're going to invest in, at least new builds, try to keep in mind, let's do 2 or 3, let's have a certain amount of money. I know the budget's always kind of a concern, depending on how much you have, but try to, like, don't be hard set on how the process turns out. Don't have a hard set opinion until you've done 2 or 3 projects, 2 or 3 builds, to kind of give your average, how it went.
What do you think your current return on investment is on, say, a deal, on a typical 3-bedroom, 2-bath house like this?
I'd say, it's probably 10-12%. I've done so many, like, different, so let's see, we were at, probably 10-12%. If I can make an investor, 20 to 50,000 per build, I've made more, I've made less, I've never made less than 20. And that's what's mistakes, different things going on, but some guys I've made more than that. But I try to do, 20 to 40 grand per build. And now we're kind of getting back to normal times as far as being a builder. I think I can easily put a project out, 5 or 6 months on a new house. And if we're doing, if one investor goes, hey, let's do 2, like the townhouses or 2 separate single family residences, I can build those at the same time. I can do probably 3 to 4 houses at once. As far as managing and the sub capabilities. Sometimes I'm hiring, 2 different drywallers to make that happen, or 2 different concrete guys, but that's easy enough. So if we can turn the money, if we're doing, most of my guys will do, maybe 2 projects in a year, or 1 set of townhouses per year. They're returning that money, so they're making, 20, 30, 40 grand per build. Sometimes we'll get half of that done in the same year. So we'll make, we'll turn that twice in, say, 9 or 10 months, versus 2 years. So it's nice. And so some,
You have any skin in the game or you just a fee?
no, just a fee, no skin in the game. I have my own kind of personal stuff, but I haven't done, you know, we haven't partnered up, you know, financially yet on a project. So, you know, I'm not that big time yet on investing. I've got a couple, you know, I'll do a flip here and there, but you know, I use hard money and most of my guys use cash. And so, so my stuff, I just stay small and try to get it in and out as fast as I can. Something I think I can do, you know, quickly in a couple months. Yeah, most of my projects are, you know, they're north of $500,000, you know, that they're bringing in between buying the land. Like a couple of my investors, they own lots, you know, that we've spent, you know, a few $100,000 on, and then we're building. And so I let them kind of fund all that and manage it. But yeah, so far it's kind of been my process, my thing.
Jason, since you have, this is kind of the in summary that I usually do the highlights at the end.
Oh,
but
yes.
You did the highlights slide.
Okay.
So what I want to do at this juncture is I want to come up here and have you go through your 2 slides of highlights.
Oh,
This will be for the highlights video as well.
okay.
Then we'll bang out these 2 slides and then we'll open it up for questions. So,
So maybe, okay. So that's, this is,
I'm so sorry. I
oh,
thought we were on
no,
the in summary.
that's
I forgot
okay.
there were more.
no, this is just some pictures I had, a couple of houses. So, you know, from concept to reality. That's, you know, us framing, and that's one of the models I've built. That's a 2-story. I have 4 models I've been doing. That I've been trying to make work on different lots, but I think that's it. Just a couple.
Okay, well, let's do the in summary then.
Okay.
Let's go back to those.
Right.
So the hot tips, slide 1. I'm gonna do a little intro for you. Go
Okay.
back to slide 1 if you don't mind. Okay, AVID Investors, tonight we presented Jason Tupper of Integrated Construction. He did an amazing job telling us how to subdivide and develop properties. And these are his hot tips. This is what you need to know if you're gonna develop properties.
Give your money 2 or 3 years for it to work. Do several projects at the same time could help as far as efficiencies. And then when building properties, size does not matter. So as far as the process, you could build a little 500 square foot addition or a house, or, you know, 5,000 square foot house. The process is the same. The time frame can be the same as well. Still gotta, you know, pull permits, still gotta buy it, wait for closing, hire all the subs. It's the same process. So just mechanicalize that. So the inspection process is the same. Some projects can net a lot of money, some projects can net very little, you know, as I was kind of mentioning. Then, if you're a realtor, flipper, investor, you can feel that you're often 1 step away from being a developer or builder, but you're actually 100 steps away because of the process. It's a lot of work, a lot of behind the scenes. Some of my old, you know, joint ventures, you know, some, you know, they've found that out after doing a project. It's a little harder, a little bit longer, time consuming than they think. So mechanicalizing that process will help with that. Kind of, you can see it, you know, you kind of put, you know, pen to paper. And the industry can be romantic, but not easy. So you guys probably all know that here, but you know.
We all hear development. It's the angelic choir,
Yeah.
goal of real estate, but it ain't easy.
No. No,
That's
sure.
why we have
So,
you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Abby.
sorry, I'm a little nervous, so, you know.
You've done a great job. Don't go anywhere. He's got plenty of questions, but guys, that's a wrap.